Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, an obsession
I'm addicted to being pregnant.
that has her lying to her husband.
You actually stopped taking birth control 3 months before you told him.
Will her addiction
I want another baby. We have to have 8.
No, we don't.
destroy their marriage?
You said, unless I'm pregnant, I don't feel worthy.
I keep thinking that having another child will make me happy.
You're having children for the wrong reasons. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've hurt long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
In 5, 4,
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Hey, guys. All right. You have all heard of the honey-do list, right? You've all heard of that. Boy, do I have a honey-do list. Well, today you're going to meet a frustrated fiance who has a honey-do not-do list. And it's getting longer by the day. It includes things like no sleeping in the same bed, no cuddling, no holding hands, no long kisses, or if attempting to kiss her, remember to hold your breath. No whistling, no sounds, no eating and making sounds, no tapping her to get her attention. The poor guy says that after 7 years, his patience is wearing a little thin. I'll talk to him and his very particular bride-to-be later in the show. But first, Liz and Chris say their 4-year-old marriage is on the verge of divorce because of Liz's addiction to getting pregnant, among other issues. Liz says her life is completely out of order because of her disorders. Take a look.
I'm addicted to being pregnant.
There you go. Let me get your snacks.
I don't think that I could stop having kids on my own. I do consider myself addicted to sex when we're trying to conceive. It's the only time I'm interested in it. The only time that I take care of myself or value myself is when I'm pregnant. I'll start on my husband for another one. It's been taking longer and longer to get him to agree because he thinks we have enough children.
You know that it's an addiction that I have, and you know that as soon as I stop nursing, I want another baby.
And I don't like odd numbers, as you know, because that's going to be baby number 7 for the family. We have to have 8.
No, we don't.
My husband wants a girl, so I use that to manipulate him to get what I want.
These are some of the outfits that I picked out while I was shopping whenever I saw something really cute that I thought might sway my husband into having another baby. So I would buy an outfit, and that night it would be on his pillow.
I feel like my wife's behavior is going to give me a heart attack by the time I'm 35. The part about my wife that I'm just over with is the addictions to animals.
I've probably had anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 animals. I've had horses, guinea pigs, rabbits, rats, birds. Anything you can think of, I've probably had it.
I love to see animals grow babies in their belly. The whole process fascinates me.
My husband started threatening me with divorce about a year ago.
I've threatened my wife with divorce 2 or 3 times in the past month.
He just says he can't take it anymore, and I will push his buttons.
I'm by myself all the time in my own. I have to.
Well, if you had a job, you wouldn't be by yourself all
Oh
the time.
yeah, it's always yeah.
I know I'm doing it, but I can't stop it. And I think that might be part of my bipolar disorder.
My wife can be your best friend one minute and your worst enemy the next.
I've just told him that he has no drive. He acts like a bum. I've told him he must like fat chicks because both of his exes are a little bit larger.
It makes me feel horrible being treated like that.
I would love to stay home with the children.
My wife punishes me for staying at home with the kids.
When it comes to this addiction with pregnancy, I am completely illogical. It's all emotional. And I can't seem to logically talk myself out of it.
Okay, as you watch that, what's your thought?
It upsets me because I consider myself a very logical person and an intelligent person, but when it comes to my pregnancy addiction and my addiction to getting animals and everything, it's completely illogical. It's all emotional, and I don't know how to stop it.
You get worn down.
Yes, I get worn down. After months and months of constant pressure, I just give in.
She said straight up, you didn't want to have another baby.
Yes.
And then she would wear you down after 6 or 7 months. You would hold your ground.
Yes, sir.
But you don't actually take 6 or 7 months because you actually stopped taking birth control 3 months before you told him, right?
But I tell him I am, and then I tell him it's his problem, that if he wants to prevent it, then he can.
He can prevent it by abstaining?
Abstaining or using protection or whatever he wants to do. I really sort of use that he wants a girl against him. I sort of manipulate him into another baby, like maybe the next one will be a girl, and maybe the next one will be a girl. And I definitely manipulate him into that way of thinking, and that's how I usually get him to agree.
How do you feel about that? She's saying, I'll just manipulate him until I beat him down.
It hurts because, you know, I don't want to, I'm my own person, and she makes me feel like I'm her person. I do what she wants, how she wants, when she wants.
People are probably thinking you've got like 20 kids,
No.
but you don't. You only have 4, and you have 2 stepchildren.
Correct. Yeah.
But how many miscarriages have you had?
I've had 4 to 5 miscarriages over the past probably 8 years, 2 within the last year.
But weren't you just in the emergency room?
I was in the emergency room Saturday night, and they basically said that I had several burst cysts. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that there was a lot of blood in my pelvic cavity. And the chances of me being pregnant right now, because we are trying, were probably pretty slim. And then she told me I had 3 options. I could either have my ovaries removed to stop the cysts, I could have a hysterectomy, or I could continue to have pain and try to have children.
So what do you want to do?
C.
You want to continue to have pain and
Yes.
continue to have children?
Yes.
She said, we are trying. With the we?
We are.
Yeah,
He
with the
agreed.
we.
He agreed.
If I don't agree, my life's a living hell.
So right now you're being coerced.
Yes, sir.
Don't make it out to seem that I'm coercing you and you're so unhappy about it.
I still
because
said no 100 times
You've
first.
even looked at the little girl outfits and said it would be so cute to have a little girl, you know, to put in them. And,
That's the manipulation part.
but it's not manipulation. That's how you feel, too.
You do realize you just told him how he feels.
I do that on a daily basis.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Now, all right, let's talk about Liz's, what she calls addiction to pregnancy and pets. Okay, she says she's addicted to sex when trying to conceive.
Yes.
Right, so if she's trying to get pregnant, you're just all hooked up.
It's like we're teenagers.
Yeah, like you're teenagers. All right, she admits that she manipulates Chris to have more babies, including currently. She enjoys pregnancy attention, bed rest, scares, hospital visits, only feels valuable when pregnant or caring for babies, feels rejected and devastated when babies stop nursing, goes off meds when pregnant against doctor's advice, because you're on meds, because you're also diagnosed with OCD, PTSD, anxiety, and bipolar disorder.
Correct.
Other than that, you're good.
Other than that, I'm fine.
Other than that,
Miscarried in spring of 2013, didn't even see a doctor.
No, I actually saw like a little sac and a baby. I was at work and I just had the miscarriage at work and continued on like it didn't happen. Same with the last miscarriage last month.
You told your husband to cancel his vasectomy that you had agreed to.
We
You finally agreed, okay, let's get a vasectomy.
We had agreed to a vasectomy when I was pregnant with my 4th. And when he was born, we both looked at each other and said, I thought, at least from my perception, that we don't want to do anything permanent. We're going to wait 5 years. If in 5 years we don't want to go back to diapers and night feedings and everything, then we'll get him a vasectomy.
You've
and we
collected
canceled.
over 2,500 pets.
That's a minimum.
it's probably a low number.
That's a very low number.
And-
That's over my lifetime.
You used tax return money to buy a horse.
My current horse, okay, yes, I financed her to where I'll pay for her out of our tax return money, yes.
And you're fascinated by animals giving birth.
Yes, I've bred, well, starting as a teenager, my parents would buy me guinea pigs and rabbits. I'd have hundreds of them at a time. And
Do you like to watch them while they're pregnant and know it's growing
yes,
inside? Because there's
yes.
nothing like that hamster glow.
Right. Dogs are better. Dogs are more fun. Horses are more fun, but I do, you know, I enjoy the whole birth process and thought about becoming a midwife because I thought, well, that would help me. You know, I could deliver other people's babies.
Maybe you could scratch the itch by having somebody else's baby, but being involved in that process.
Right, and make it a career because I'm passionate about it.
All right, well, let's take a break. Next, Liz recently collapsed, blacked out at 2 in the morning. We're going to find out what she says Chris did to cause that episode when we come back.
I can't have wrinkles on my bed, so I'll have him make it and remake it until it's completely flat.
You have no idea. It's very frustrating.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil, her mooching, lazy son
Andrew has thrown plates away instead of putting them in the dishwasher.
Still lives at home. He's peeing in bottles that are leaking through the ceiling. Did you smell it?
It's horrible.
He says mom's a pushover.
You seem to have a chip on your shoulder.
Should they kick him out?
I think it's a fine line between being a mom and enabling.
No, there's not. There's a bold red line, and you are so far across it, it's not even funny.
That's tomorrow.
I was diagnosed with OCD a year ago. I'll browse Craigslist constantly for animals to try to flip to make money. I replaced the obsession with the animals with budgeting.
My wife will stay up for 2 or 3 hours and do budgets, page after page. When I change the volume on the TV to an odd number, she will pester me until I change it back to an even number. If I bathe my children before I give them dinner, it throws her whole day off.
I get a lot of attention when I'm pregnant. I do like that, especially when I'm put on bed rest. First of all, I'm at home, so I get tons more time with my children. I'm constantly getting texts or Facebook messages or emails. Are you okay? How's the baby doing?
Each pregnancy, we were at the hospital no less than 20 or 30 times.
Well, Liz and Chris say their 4-year marriage is on the rocks because Liz's addiction to getting pregnant and collecting pets. Now, she said 2,500 pets is a low number. This includes like 20 horses, 100 guinea pigs, 150 bunnies, countless cats, dogs, chickens, rats, chinchillas, sugar gliders, whatever the hell that is, prairie dogs, and throw in a few goats. What the hell? Throw in a few goats.
I have.
Chris says he's willing to do just about anything to make Liz happy, but it's not easy.
If my wife needs something, she demands it now. If I'm cooking for the kids and she needs a Q-tip, she will demand that I stop what I'm doing and bring her a Q-tip.
Oh.
About a week ago, my wife was laying on the couch and she wanted to take a nap, but the bed wasn't made. I was busy doing chores. She asked me to go make it, and I told her, you go make it. She got very upset with me and stayed on the couch and refused to go in there until I did it, so I just gave up and did it.
I can't have wrinkles on my bed, so I'll have him make it and remake it until it's completely flat.
No idea. It's very frustrating.
His argument is as soon as you get in the bed, there's going to be wrinkles in it, but I have a hard time. I can't even look at the bed if it's not made.
My wife will ask me to take off her shoes because her back hurts and says she doesn't want to bend over and do it. I don't mind doing it every now and then, but I don't like to be told to do it. The bank account is in my wife's name. If I need gas, my wife will either leave me with a check or leave me with a debit card, but leave me with specific instructions not to spend any more than I'm supposed to.
I don't let Chris have any access to our money because I'm afraid he'll spend it on Pepsis or something stupid that we don't need. He's not very budget savvy.
It makes me feel like a child. It makes me feel frustrated and aggravated because I can make my own choices.
Well, maybe not. Chris makes the bed so Liz can nap, but it has to be wrinkle-free.
Yeah, I can't even look at it if it's not made.
Can't even look at it.
I can't even enter the room.
You can't even go in there.
No.
Because there's a wrinkle in that bed. It's like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
So it's get your ass back in here and get this wrinkle out so I can go sleep.
Pretty much.
So I can take a nap.
Pretty much.
Stop sweeping the floor and get this wrinkle out of here. Okay. Takes Liz's shoes and socks off after work or shopping. Brings Liz's purse, shoes, cell, and water at her command. Asks for money because the bank account's in Liz's name. Cuts off friends that Liz doesn't trust. Chris has had 6 beers in the last 4 years because you limit his drinking.
I limit alcohol in the house, yes.
Okay. Must brush teeth immediately after drinking or no sex. Okay,
That's correct.
So,
yeah.
I can't stand the smell of alcohol
Can't
on,
stand the smell
on
of
his breath. Yeah.
okay. Let's talk about the wrinkle in the bed.
Okay.
What's your problem with a wrinkle in the bed?
I can't quite explain it. It's illogical. It just bothers me. Same thing if the bedroom gets cluttered, because that's my sanctuary. That's where I go when I'm really anxious and stressed out.
And so anxiety builds up.
Anxiety builds up with me daily, from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. I can't get to sleep. I have crutches that get me to sleep. I have crutches that get me through the day, and they're not getting me through the day, and
Like
nothing's
what?
working. Right now, I'm still taking my Klonopin. I can take 4 or 5 times the dose of what I'm prescribed, and it still does not help with my anxiety.
But you have rituals also that you go through.
Yes.
Patterns that you have to do.
Yes, like budgeting. I have to budget.
And you would write out how many pages of budget every night?
40 to 60.
40 to 60 pages of
Yeah,
budget.
I'll do like scenario 1. Chris gets a job and makes this much an hour. Scenario 2, I quit my job. Chris gets a job and makes this much an hour.
Every night.
It was
Yes.
every night, yes.
And what did you learn in the 24 hours since you did the last 60 pages?
Well, what I've learned is that unfortunately I can't plan for everything, and then it makes me have more anxiety because then my budget's thrown off.
You wrote to me in your letter, you said, all of this stuff going on, this pregnancy addiction, as you call it, the PTSD, the OCD, the anxiety, the depression, all of this, you said, my life is out of control and I am spiraling down.
Yes, that's definitely how I feel. Nothing can make me happy. I keep thinking that having another child will make me happy. Didn't work with number 2, 3, 4. We're trying again. I don't know if this one will make me happy. I don't know if number 40 would make me happy. I don't know. I don't value myself when I'm not pregnant or nursing. I only value myself and take care of myself when somebody's physically dependent upon me.
And once the baby stops nursing,
I feel rejected.
but you do feel,
That's when I start pushing for another baby.
yeah, you get the pattern here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. My wife has isolated me from most of the people I know and talk to, and then at the same time, she pushes me away, so I don't talk to anybody, ever. I'm very lonely.
This February,
At age 19, I was married to the prophet of the FLDS people.
This 85-year-old man who has 64 other wives.
a former sect member confronts her polygamous father.
My father condoned my marriage.
How does that make sense to a father to marry his daughter off to the crypt keeper?
Plus, was this soldier falsely convicted?
You had a hand to putting my son in jail, possibly for life.
Have you ever made false allegations prior to this?
Yes, I have.
Is this father killing his child?
You have an addict for a daughter and you're giving her money. Are you telling me that you don't know she's buying drugs with it?
You took her to a drug house to get it.
And a family brutally slaughtered.
Police have arrested the 16-year-old daughter.
You know that she planned this, right?
For the first time,
They practically decapitate your mother, shoot and stab your brothers to death.
the daughter speaks out.
You needed them out of the way for a reason. What was it?
Over the 4.5 years we've been married, my wife and I have only been really intimate 4 or 5 times. We've had sex often, but the actual feeling of intimacy I've only felt a few times. My wife very rarely will have sex facing me.
Now, one of Chris's and Liz's longest running arguments is Chris pot smoking. He says he has to smoke to cope with the stress of living with this woman. Take a look.
In 2011, I found pot at the house, and he was high. I was devastated.
My wife was stressing me out, and I smoked some pot, and ever since then, she's treated me like I was the worst person ever.
He got very angry, said he wasn't doing it. I kept pushing and pushing and pushing because he will lie until he is backed into a corner with proof, like, here's the pot. He got extremely angry with me, extremely upset. He refused to take a drug test, and at that point, he put his fist through the closet door. I hyperventilated, went outside. I mean, I was rocking back and forth and having a complete panic attack.
My wife has isolated me from most of the people I know and talk to, and then at the same time, she pushes me away. So I don't know where to go. So I don't talk to anybody, ever. I'm very lonely.
What do you need from her that you're not getting?
I'd say respect, number one. And number two would just be to show me that she's happy with me or happy with our family or just to be happy.
She's not proud of you?
No, not at all. If you do her wrong, you're screwed.
And when you get upset, you've called him bum, loser, worthless, trailer trash?
He's called me things too, but yes.
Yes. What do you want from him?
He gives me a lot. I mean, he is there for me emotionally. He does try to make me happy. I would like to be able to stay at home with the kids. It doesn't mean that I want to sit on my butt and do nothing. I would love to like run my own small business or become a midwife or do something I'm passionate about, something that I enjoy. Right now, I go to work and I'm miserable every day. I'm dying inside, and I've been trying to tell him that for 4 years, and nothing's changed. Nothing.
So you want him to fix you?
I don't want him to fix me. I just think that I would be much happier if I had more time with my own children.
Because you've tried different things, but there are times when you do have time with the children that you go in the bedroom and shut the door and say, I just can't handle this.
And that's because I'm working. I was working up to 95 hours a week. I manage a bank during the week, and on the weekends I was training anywhere between 30 and 45 horses. I am exhausted. I am beyond my rope, and yes, my children get the short end of the stick by the end of the day.
But if we're being completely honest, and this is a kind of a test, you sure like being pregnant and giving birth and nursing infants a lot more than you do mothering children once they grow up.
No, I love mothering them. No, I love mothering them. I just want more energy and more time to be able to mother them. I feel like whenever I do try to mother them, he tells me I'm doing it wrong.
Okay, so what you told me is not true.
About what?
Because you said, unless I'm pregnant or nursing, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel meaningful.
I don't take care of myself. Yes, I don't take care of myself. And
so
I don't feel as needed.
you're not inspired to do that by older children, only when you
Right.
are carrying or nursing.
Right. I just feel like they're physically dependent on me in every way possible. And I feel like I'm needed, and I just feel like I'm their everything.
But you just denied the contrast, and there is a contrast because it's an ugly contrast, so you don't want to acknowledge it, but it's true.
Right. But I do mother my children, and I do love them to death, and they know that.
And you've tried different things to cope. You were addicted to cocaine.
Before I was a mother, as a teenager,
Right.
yeah.
Xanax.
As a teenager.
Alcohol. Oxy. Gosh, it goes on.
You could throw pot on there, too.
Hydros, Clonopin.
That was us together as teens.
Yeah.
So you can add him to that.
Yeah.
He was present during that as a teen.
Do you consider yourself defensive?
Very defensive. Yes, I don't like being vulnerable.
'Cause you do a lot of yeah, but.
Yeah, I don't.
You just yeah, but he.
Yeah,
well, it's
I'm
yeah, but
very-
he calls me names. Yeah, but he smokes pot. Yeah, but he did this. Yeah, but he. Yeah, but.
I'm very defensive. I mean, I know I have problems, and I know that they're serious, and I take ownership in that. But at the same time, I do try to deflect, and I am defensive. Yes.
Yeah.
So.
I know. I didn't need you to tell me that. Let's take a break. We're going to find out what the doctors told Liz that could threaten her chances of having baby number 5 when we come back.
I prefer the baby stage. I love it when they're completely dependent upon mom and no one else can do. I think I'm obsessed. I mean, I'm constantly cleaning their ears, clipping their nails, maybe a little bit more often than necessary. Go. There you go. I co-sleep with each of my babies, so they sleep with me. I co-slept with my daughter till she was 5 months. I co-slept with Ethan until he was 12 months old, and with Brayden, I co-slept with him for a year. I think I'm obsessed. I mean, I'm constantly cleaning their ears, clipping their nails. Mommy will do it for you. Maybe a little bit more often than necessary. I prefer the baby stage. All right, there you go. Let me get your snacks. I love it when they're completely dependent upon mom and no one else can do. I got you. I was very dedicated. I wanted to nurse Brayden until 18 months. He did bite me while he was nursing. And after that, he absolutely refused to nurse. He would scream, he would cry, he'd arch away from me. I felt very rejected, and I was extremely depressed for several months.
And the baby got so used to me feeding the bottle that it didn't want her breast anymore. She would be mad at me for that.
Do you have a question for me?
What can we do, or what can I do, I guess, to, first of all, be happy, and to help our marriage? Because I don't want to divorce this man. I love him to death.
Do you have a question for me?
I want to know, what are things that I can do to cope? Because she's not going to change overnight.
I don't want you to cope.
Okay.
You got another question? Because I don't want you to cope, because if you cope, you're enabling.
Yes.
And you need to stop enabling.
All right.
Look, let me give each of you a reality to think about here. First off, you cannot make her happy. Happiness comes from the inside out. You can't make her happy, so stop trying. Her discontent comes from the inside out. It's not you. I'm not saying you're a perfect husband. I'm not saying you're perfect in anything you do. But you're not either, are you?
Oh, no.
So isn't there a nice symmetry to that? But yet you still have the expectation. Now, let me say some things to you that you need to hear, and I don't know if anybody's ever said this to you or not before, but I'm going to tell you the truth as I see it, and then you can decide what to do with that. You know, first off, you're having children for the wrong reasons, okay? Children should not be born with a job. And your children are born with a job. I went down through the things, the specific statements you said. I don't know how many kids it will take to make me happy. It's not their job to make you happy. If a child is born with a job of making you happy, that's unfair. Then you're violating a fundamental principle of human functioning. You solve psychological problems psychologically. Look, I don't know if these diagnoses are right. I don't know if you're OCD. It sounds like you certainly have some tendencies of being a bit obsessive in your thought and compulsive in your behavior. I don't know if you have PTSD. I've looked back through your history. I see some things that certainly suggest to me that you would have some lasting scars that could trigger some reactions in you that are change-worthy. I don't even know if you're bipolar because I haven't been able to ascertain what that diagnosis was based on. But assuming that any or all of that is true, OCD, PTSD, bipolar, anxiety, depression, all of these things, if all of this is going on with you, fixing it with pregnancy is not on the short list of recommended therapies.
Right. I'm trying to fix myself. I am. But it's not working.
Stop having babies because you're having them for the wrong reason. Stop having babies. You're doing this for the wrong reason. I mean, come on. You're resenting it. You're getting pushed into it. You need to stop enabling her. And if she gets pissed off, you know, she can get happy in the same shoes she got unhappy in, I guess. She's going to have to get over it. She does get over it, doesn't she?
Yes.
So you have to decide, if I have issues going on, I need to deal with those. You need to stop trying to fix psychological problems with non-psychological solutions. And I want to help you with this, and I will get you the evaluations that you need. I will get you the help that you need to get you on the right track and start you down that road, if you will let me do that.
Right.
If I get her that help, you will support that.
Oh, yes, sir.
And you need to get a backbone. Don't cave into this.
Oh, I won't.
Good. All right, we'll start working on it right away. All right, next. She says certain sounds, smells, and touches irritate her so much that she has to keep her distance from her fiance and her 2 children. We'll talk to them when we come back.
Anytime I hear natural human sounds like chewing, sniffling, it just makes me angry.
If I clear my throat like, she gets pretty upset.
It bothers me if he breathes on me.
When I go to kiss her, I know now to just hold my breath.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. Her mooching, lazy son still lives at home.
How am I supposed to kick him out with nowhere to go?
It's not your problem. You need to change the locks, and he needs to be gone.
That's tomorrow.
Well, we're talking about what some would call extreme disorders today. Sydney says she cannot stand everyday sounds like chewing, swallowing, breathing, snoring, or whistling. She says she's also sensitive to how people touch her. Toes touching her anywhere on her body are a giant no-no, and her own fiancé has to hold his breath when attempting to give her a kiss.
Anytime I hear natural human sounds that people make, like chewing, smacking, sniffling, it just makes me angry.
Sydney hates to hear the sound of clipping nails, eating, breathing, yawning. If I clear my throat like she gets pretty upset.
I can't stand the sound that Michael makes when he eats. Can you eat those somewhere else, please? If Michael's eating in one room, I just instinctively go to the other room to eat. It just disgusts me.
It can be unbearable to live with someone that gets angry at everyday sounds and noises. Intimacy is a big problem. Kissing, hugging, holding, cuddling.
When Michael and I are intimate, it bothers me if he breathes on me or touches me lightly.
So when I go to kiss her, I know now to just hold my breath. It's easier and it doesn't start an argument. When we do sleep together, she has to have a loud fan.
I have to sleep with a fan on to drown out sounds.
We have our own blankets, and she puts a body pillow in between as sort of a barrier.
My problems sometimes get me to the point where I'm so angry that I lose my temper and yell or slam a door or have to, like, punch something.
She has thrown cups, glasses, plates, whatever she can get her hands on. If things don't change, I feel like it could destroy our relationship.
Okay, what do you think's going on?
I feel like I have misophonia, OCD, and severe anxiety.
What does he do that bugs you the most?
Chewing, swallowing, breathing on me, being like lightly touched. I have to just like rub it off, or it just nags at me.
So if he brushes up against you or touches you or whatever, you have to come and physically rub it off.
Rub it or scratch it.
And what do you think about this?
It's frustrating.
Do you get that it's not normal?
Very much. It's completely illogical. And I want to change it more than anything. I feel like it just completely controls every aspect of my life.
And mine.
And my children.
Yeah. And why do you think you're OCD?
I have rituals that I have to do. I have to touch things a certain way. I count things constantly. I have like a specific schedule that I have to do certain things in the same order every time. Like before I go to bed, I have to, do everything in a certain order, brush my teeth. I have this thing where I have to shake the water off the toothbrush and I count, and I have to do it until it feels right. Then I have to wash my hands, and once I've washed my hands and I'm headed to the bed, I can't touch anything else. If I touch anything, I feel like it got like a smell on my hands or like it feels dirty. I have to go rewash my hands before I can go to bed.
All right, and give me an example of a ritual that you have to do other than that one.
If I'm going into a room and I'm coming back out, I can't just shut the door behind me. I have to open the door all the way as far as it can open and then close it and turn the door handle all the way.
And if you don't, what happens?
I'll constantly think about it until I go back and do it.
So you have to go complete the ritual. Okay. How are you doing right now?
I'm okay right now because, I'm in a big room with lots of humming sounds that are drowning out the little sounds. The only sounds that bother me are like natural human sounds that people make, like with their mouth mostly. So like if there's a lot going on that's drowning out those sounds, I don't pay attention to it. But if I'm in a quiet room with just like me and him, and I'm so in tune to those sounds.
Well, you gave us a list of sounds that bother you. You said eating, chewing, swallowing, smacking, chewing gum, snoring, loud breathing, whispering, coughing, yawning, typing on a keyboard, clicking sounds, ticking, repetitive sounds, nail clipping, breathing, scratching, whistling, sniffing, sniffling, sneezing, laughing.
Some things bother me more than others, you know, like chewing, you know, and it won't even be like, he doesn't have to be smacking with his mouth open or, you know, he could be using perfectly good manners, but I can hear the food in his mouth like moving around as he's chewing, and it just disgusts me so deeply that I just get angry, and sometimes I'll just like slam my hand down, or, you know, like he just knows not to eat around me.
All right, let's take a quick break. Next, Sydney is almost 7 months pregnant. We're going to find out why she's terrified to bring a third child into this dysfunctional household next.
In the mornings when I'm getting my daughter ready for school, I don't like to hold her hand. I've told her, you know, Mommy doesn't like that. Don't do that, you know, I don't like that. I worry that she feels like I don't ever want her around me.
If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and you would like free tickets, go to drphil.com and click on Be in the Audience.
Or call 323-461-PHIL.
In the mornings when I'm getting my daughter ready for school, I can't let her hold on to my arms for balance when she's stepping into her pants. I have to have her stand next to a bed or next to a chair to hold on because I can't stand the light touching on my arms. I don't like to hold her hand. Again, back to the light touching. If she were to hold my hand a certain way, I don't like it. I walk her to and from school every day, and of course I hold her hand, but it has to be a certain way because of the way it feels. Sometimes if we're sitting on the couch watching TV and she'll try to cuddle up to me, I have to make her move away because I feel crowded. I'm scared she's gonna lay her hand on me. I try to avoid the situation. I fight it in my head like, don't say anything, don't stop her, just let her do it. I've told her, you know, Mommy doesn't like that. Don't do that, you know, I don't like that. I don't worry that she thinks I don't love her because I know I show her that and I tell her all the time, but I worry that she feels like I don't ever want her around me. I just feel like a terrible mother sometimes. I hate being this way. It makes me feel crazy.
Do you think she understands?
I think she understands somewhat. Like, she knows that I have a problem, and I always make sure to tell her, you know, you're not doing anything wrong. It's not you. It's just I have a problem that I need help with. She just knows. She knows all the little things that I don't like, and she, you know, tries not to do it.
What's your concern about your third child?
All of my issues tend to be worse the more stressed I am. So one of my issues is that, you know, with a new baby in the house and, you know, me being under a lot of stress and lack of sleep, that I'm not going to be able to handle it, you know, even worse than I am now, you know. That I'm just going to explode.
Do you know what misophonia is?
Hatred of sound.
Well, there's really more to it than that. It's also known as selective sound sensitivity, and it's an abnormally strong negative reaction of the autonomic nervous system and the limbic system to specific sounds, usually soft sounds, and they're typically breathing sounds, things like that. But it's generally more acute if it's with someone to whom you have an emotional attachment.
That describes me exactly to a T.
There's a neurological component here.
Right.
To an extent, this becomes involuntary. There's also a psychological component to it that's pretty narcissistic. It's like you can make the noises and that's okay, but anybody else makes the noises, that's not okay. And if it's somebody that you have an emotional attachment to, it's really not okay. Now, we're going to take a break, and coming up, we're going to find out if there is any way Sydney could sleep in the same bed with her fiance, share meals with her family, or cuddle with her children in the future. In other words, is there a way out of this? We'll talk about all of that when we come back. help justifying your inactivity and avoiding the challenge of change. For help getting started, go to drphil.com for 11 seasons of advice, articles, and exclusive videos you won't find anywhere else. Plus, sign up for the Dr. Phil community to share your story and find support from others, all on drphil.com. Michael wrote me for help with his fiance's condition. She thinks she has misophonia. She thinks she has OCD. She thinks she has anxiety. She may be right on all three counts. He says when they first got together, he thought she hated everything about him. She admits she hid the severity of her disorder until later in their relationship. Michael wants to know, look, are we ever going to be able to sleep in the same bed, kiss on a regular basis, and start to act like a normal couple? The answer is yes. Sometimes we get into a neurological loop. You just, in your mind, you go round and around and around and around. There's no exit ramp. There's no way to get it out. Mm-hmm. And that's why it becomes so ritualistic. There are treatments for this. Now, you're talking about three different things here, but they could be intertwined. Anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder are associated because OCD is driven by anxiety. Because you know when you do the ritual, you get a little lessening of anxiety, at least for a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Then it starts to build back up till you do something else.
But it also causes anxiety because I don't want to do it. Right, exactly.
So, but that can be dealt with. We can give you other ways to cope with that. With regard to the misophonia, this is a very specific disorder. And it can be helped sometimes with medications. It can certainly be helped with different types of neurofeedback and biofeedback. There's not a whole heck of a lot known about it, but there are treatments for it where you can get a good deal better from this and in an amazingly short period of time. That doesn't mean that you won't have to manage it, but a lot of this you can do on your own at home. So what I want to do is get you in the hands of some very specialized care that's going to help you with neurofeedback and biofeedback and give you some anxiety management tools to help you on the other end. So if I arrange, this is kind of a specialized protocol, but if I arrange this for you, you'll do this, right?
Absolutely.
You're happy to do it.
Yeah,
and you are like beyond thrilled, right?
Beyond it, yes.
We'll get that started right away for you, okay?
Thank you.
And we're going to do exactly the same thing with you. How do you feel about that?
Much better.
I want to thank all of my guests today. For more information on today's show, you can visit drphil.com. We'll have some more definitions. The one I put up are abbreviated. We take them from the DSM-5, and we'll have the full definitions up for you in case you're wondering if you are afflicted in the same way. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. This will work out. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, an obsession
I'm addicted to being pregnant.
that has her lying to her husband.
You actually stopped taking birth control 3 months before you told him.
Will her addiction
I want another baby. We have to have 8.
No, we don't.
destroy their marriage?
You said, unless I'm pregnant, I don't feel worthy.
I keep thinking that having another child will make me happy.
You're having children for the wrong reasons. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've hurt long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
In 5, 4,
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
go, Dr. Phil.
Hey, guys. All right. You have all heard of the honey-do list, right? You've all heard of that. Boy, do I have a honey-do list. Well, today you're going to meet a frustrated fiance who has a honey-do not-do list. And it's getting longer by the day. It includes things like no sleeping in the same bed, No cuddling, no holding hands, no long kisses. Or if attempting to kiss her, remember to hold your breath. No whistling, no sounds, no eating and making sounds. No tapping her to get her attention. The poor guy says that after 7 years, his patience is wearing a little thin. I'll talk to him and his very particular bride-to-be later in the show. But first, Liz and Chris say their 4-year-old marriage is on the verge of divorce because of Liz's addiction to getting pregnant, among other issues. Liz says her life is completely out of order because of her disorders. Take a look.
I'm addicted to being pregnant.
There you go. Let me get your snacks.
I don't think that I could stop having kids on my own. I do consider myself addicted to sex when we're trying to conceive. It's the only time I'm interested in it. The only time that I take care of myself or value myself is when I'm pregnant. I'll start on my husband for another one. It's been taking longer and longer to get him to agree because he thinks we have enough children.
You know that it's an addiction that I have. And you know that as soon as I stop nursing, I want another baby.
And I don't like odd numbers, as you know, because that's going to be baby number 7 for the family. We have to have 8.
No, we don't.
My husband wants a girl, so I use that to manipulate him to get what I want.
These are some of the outfits that I picked out while I was shopping whenever I saw something really cute that I thought might sway my husband into having another baby. So I would buy an outfit, and that night it would be on his pillow.
I feel like my wife's behavior is going to give me a heart attack by the time I'm 35. The part about my wife that I'm just over with is the addictions to animals.
I've probably had anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 animals. I've had horses, guinea pigs, rabbits, rats, birds. Anything you can think of, I've probably had it.
I love to see animals grow babies in their belly. The whole process fascinates me.
My husband started threatening me with divorce about a year ago.
I've threatened my wife with divorce 2 or 3 times in the past month.
He just says he can't take it anymore, and I will push his buttons.
I'm by myself all the time on my own. I have to...
Well, if you had a job, you wouldn't be by yourself all the time.
Yeah, it's always, yeah.
I know I'm doing it, but I can't stop it, and I think that might be part of my bipolar disorder.
My wife can be your best friend one minute and your worst enemy the next.
I've just told him that he has no drive. He acts like a bum. I've told him he must like fat chicks because both of his exes are a little bit larger.
It makes me feel horrible being treated like that.
I would love to stay home with the children.
My wife punishes me for staying at home with the kids.
When it comes to this addiction with pregnancy, I am completely illogical. It's all emotional. And I can't seem to logically talk myself out of it.
Okay, as you watch that, what's your thought?
It upsets me because I consider myself a very logical person and an intelligent person, but when it comes to my pregnancy addiction and my addiction to getting animals and everything, it's completely illogical. It's all emotional, and I don't know how to stop it.
You get worn down.
Yes, I get worn down. After months and months of constant pressure, I just give in.
She said straight up, you didn't want to have another baby.
Yes.
And then she would wear you down after 6 or 7 months. You would hold your ground.
Yes, sir.
But you don't actually take 6 or 7 months because you actually stopped taking birth control 3 months before you told him, right?
But I tell him I am, and then I tell him it's his problem, that if he wants to prevent it, then he can.
He can prevent it by abstaining?
Abstaining or using protection or whatever he wants to do. I really sort of use that he wants a girl against him. I sort of manipulate him into another baby, like maybe the next one will be a girl, maybe the next one will be a girl. And I definitely manipulate him into that way of thinking, and that's how I usually get him to agree.
How do you feel about that? She's saying, I'll just manipulate him until I beat him down.
It hurts because, you know, I don't want to, I'm my own person, and she makes me feel like I'm her person. I do what she wants, how she wants, when she wants.
People are probably thinking you've got like 20 kids, no. But you don't. You only have 4, and you have 2 stepchildren.
Correct. Yeah.
But how many miscarriages have you had?
I've had